On today's show, LeBron James turns back time. Actually, he just beats time. He beat time again to beat the Clippers. A comeback, an insane 21-point comeback for the Lakers. What does it mean for them? And the West is like really tough right now. Let's talk about that and more in today's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are locked on to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On NBA your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you listen to, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section, how long does LeBron James keep doing this? I'm curious what people have to say. Today's episode is brought to you by Grammarly. Make a bigger impact at work with Grammarly. Sign up and download for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. And joining me, as always, on a Thursday, what you got for me, Pat the Designer?
This is such an upgrade from a Bulls team that won the rebounding battle by 35 and still had to go to double OT to win.
One of the best things for us, personally, as hosts that cover a team that get to do Locked On NBA weekly is that, like, at least one time a week, you will talk about basketball that isn't terrible if your team is bad at the time. It's the saving grace for us sometimes. Jackson, who does Locked On Rockets on Mondays, at least once a week, he'll talk about a team that wasn't last year's Rockets team.
You need something, dog. You need something.
Oh, my gosh. We'll talk about all that. We'll get into some teams that are in the playoff hunt. I want to talk about the Mavs, who got a win tonight, the Pelicans, who lost tonight, the Kings, who lost tonight, and the Suns, who did not play tonight, are all a game within each other and have a decision that has to be made over the next couple of weeks. Would you rather risk the play-in but have to face the Timberwolves and the Thunder, or just make the playoffs, but then you face the Nuggets or the Clippers? Just insane. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we'll do Count It Up, where we count up the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. But let's start here, Pat. The Los Angeles Lakers of Los Angeles were down by 21 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. 11:45 left. They were down 98-77. And LeBron James outscores the Clippers in the fourth quarter, 19-16. He scores 19. The Clippers score 16. The rest of the Lakers around him score 20 points themselves, so they outscored the Clippers as well. Like the other Lakers outscored the Clippers, and LeBron outscored the Clippers by themselves. How, Sway? How did he get this done? How did LeBron James go off like this?
The answer is he's LeBron James. Like, you want this great in-depth basketball analysis.
You got to do the little kid thing.
LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Like, let's be real. Like, when you watch him, I mean, listen, how does he do this? There's no answer. He's 39 years old. He's an absolute freak of nature. He's been a freak of nature his entire career, and he's continuing to do that. And it's not just like this is a one-time thing, right? You know, a lot of guys, like, kind of down the last little stretch of their career, you sit there and you go, okay, they're kind of up and down. They have a great game. They have an old man game. Yeah, LeBron's not really doing that. Here's his last 10 or so games, 34, 28, 30. Didn't play for a couple of games, 25, 21, 25, 26, 24. Didn't play for a game, inactive, 20, 23, and 36. The entire time he's still giving you ridiculous numbers from the rebounding perspective. He's still giving you ridiculous numbers from the assist perspective. Like, how is LeBron James doing this? LeBron James. Like, that is literally the answer at this point, because he's doing something we have never seen before. I remember old Jordan. And listen, I still think Jordan's the GOAT. I still think Jordan's the guy. I am that guy. At this point, though, it is literally my Chicago bias taking over. At 39 years old, to see a player do this, and yes, how the NBA is played makes a big difference, but it is so ridiculously impressive. And I think people have kind of forgotten he's continuing to break the scoring record every single day that is now held by him, every game that he's played. And usually these are the games where it's like, oh, he added 15 points. He's adding 30s and 40s still.
He needed like 74 points to hit 40,000 points, I think. I was watching the tracker, and I was like, oh, it'll take him a couple games, maybe 2. might take him 2 to get there now. We're just seeing a level of play we've just never seen from anyone else, especially like there's been 39-year-olds. Like Karl Malone had a season of 20 points, 8 boards, like 5 assists for the Jazz. Like solid. Jordan, like you said, for the Wizards had that season where he was 39 and he had, he averaged 20 points, 5 boards, like, 4 assists or something like that. Like, okay, they've put up some numbers. LeBron James at 25 points, 7 boards, 8 assists in this season. He's played 51 games. But when you take it and look at it compared to other players that have played 21 seasons, then all of a sudden you're looking at something that no one else has ever done, like ever. I was there for most of Dirk's 21st season. My favorite athlete of all time. Love the guy. Great legend, all that. He was struggling to get up and down the court. Like at the end of the season, he goes, man, I probably shouldn't have done that for the 21st season. 7 points a game, shooting like 36% from the field. One of the best shooters of all time, shooting, like just struggling. Ankle was killing him. Vince Carter, 7 points a game, playing 17 minutes a game. And we were like, oh man, what a spry 42-year-old in his 21st season. And here we have LeBron James, 25 points, 7 boards, 8 assists. And it's not just those like counting stats. It's the peaks where he can still hit like this, where he was the best player on the court with Kawhi, with James Harden, with Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis can't surpass LeBron James as the best player on the Lakers, in part because of his own, but also because LeBron James is still like hitting these peaks at times where he can go off for 19 points in a quarter. I mean, absolutely insane play from LeBron James. I mean, it's wild.
Here's just how to put it in perspective. Just a couple of guys to look at, right? You said Brian this season is averaging 25 points per game.
Yeah.
39 years old. Just to put that in perspective, Jason Tatum this season is averaging 27 points per game. He's averaging 1 bucket more. He's a lot younger. I don't know if people know that or not. To also put it in perspective, Anthony Edwards is averaging 26 points per game, 26.5, a full point in front of LeBron. Point in front of LeBron. Just to put it in perspective a little bit more, the Bulls don't have somebody averaging 25 points per game on the team. There are teams that don't have what a 39-year-old player is doing on the court right now. Teams, full NBA teams. I don't know all the other stats from every team. I just looked up a couple to make this point here. But like, I would bet you Charlotte doesn't have a player that's averaging more than LeBron right now. I would bet you Detroit doesn't have a player that's averaging more than LeBron right now. I would bet you New Orleans doesn't have a player that's averaging more than LeBron right now. Like, this is ridiculous. He's 39. I know Muzz are gonna be like, oh, here we go. It's the episode where they gotta glaze LeBron. This isn't glazing. He's 39. This isn't normal.
Has he aged out of the glazing? Is that
bro? No. It's maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's how that works. I don't know. It's just this is such a. We've gotten so used to LeBron doing amazing things, and especially in Chicago, right? It's always Jordan versus LeBron. It will always lean Jordan. It will never not lean Jordan in Chicago, even no matter how young the younger generation is. But, dog, like, this is insane work. This is something where probably the first thing I've ever seen in my life that I feel like we may never see again. Because the NBA competition committee is about to change how defense is played, how different things happen. Like, do you know how good of a player you're going to have to be to do this again?
Do you want to know a wild stat? LeBron James in 2004 became the youngest player in at least Basketball Reference recorded history to score 19 points in a quarter. He was the youngest one. That was in 2004, by the way. That was 20 years ago, for those that need the reminder.
Shut up.
That was 20 years ago.
Shut up.
At this point. I mean, it's and now Jordan was 40 in 2003 and he got 19 and a quarter. So he could still be the oldest player. He could be the youngest player and the oldest player to score 19.
It depends on date, right? There. That's kind of how that works. It depends on like how
Jordan
many days into your
Jordan was 20 days in,
you are.
20 days into being 40. So he still has the record. So he's still the GOAT until LeBron scores 19 as a 40-year-old.
I keep saying this. I love Jordan. I think he's the GOAT, but I'm running out of reasons to keep him there.
Well, it's the peak versus longevity. It's the
minus 6 rings.
It's the peak versus longevity. Okay? If you want best player at the peak, It's still Jordan. If you want longevity, okay, well then all of a sudden Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would like a word with either of them, you know, like.
Might I speak to both of you for a second?
I have written down my soliloquy. I've written it have etched it in stone.
I know Magic Johnson's a big part of everything I've done, but let me talk to you.
The only thing we figured out here is that LeBron James is still amazing, and that's how they got the win. That's really what it was.
By the way, Clippers lost. Big shot. Clippers lost.
Go listen to Locked On Clippers.
Yeah.
Darian will be really upset.
Clippers
he was not having a good time during this one. Go listen to that for their side of it. They had some big issues.
Glenn!
Lakers can't blame Glenn anymore. He can't. Coming up, let's talk about the West, baby. 5 to 8 teams. The teams in 5 to 8. The Mavs, Suns, Kings, and Pelicans have an insane quote-unquote choice to make. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors knows that every player on your team needs to be the right fit. That's why we make trades and we do all that kind of stuff. And every part that your car has also has to fit as well. Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with the GOAT Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd. Just all GOAT talk today. To bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week. If you are scouting the waiver wire, they're going to provide you with players that are guaranteed to fit your roster. Let's see who Josh has picked for this week's eBay Guaranteed Fit Players of the Week. We got a couple of interesting names here. Let's go with Benedict Mathurin of the Pacers. Mathurin is in career best form and posting numbers in multiple categories. We have concerns of consistency, but while he is rolling, he is worth using. So go check out Benedict Mathurin for your team. Also, Duop Reith if DeAndre Ayton is going to be out for any significant amount of time. And if he's going to be out, he's probably going to be out for longer than he should. So go check out Duop Reith.
Can we get him in the snow?
Is it going to snow again in Portland? Can we check that? Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit. Same with your vehicle. Check out eBay Motors. If you've listened to this show, if you listen to Locked On Pelicans, you know Jake Madison is always talking about eBay Motors. He loves to use it. He's fixing up this old car, and he just gets parts shipped right to his house, anything that he needs, and he knows it's going to be an absolute guaranteed fit because of the eBay Guaranteed Fit for your car. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions, they do apply. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being an everydayer, listening to the show every day. We have a daily Locked On show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. We also have the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 feed, where if you're watching us right now, appreciate it. Go check us out on the podcast feed or on YouTube. And if you're not, then go to Locked On Sports Today 24/7, all your sports stories, all that kind of stuff. Check it out. Locked On Sports Today. All right, Pat. I want to talk about this group in the West because the Mavs get a bounce back win against the Raptors. Solid one for them after the heartbreak, devastating, crazy loss to the Cavs. And then the Cavs lost to the Bulls, so they're frauds.
Are you over Copia?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
You're still on the Copia?
I'm not completely over it yet. Pelicans lose to the Pacers, and then you have the Kings lost to the Nuggets as well. And so now you have this group of the Suns in 5th. They're 34-24. The Pelicans in 6th, they're 35-25. The Mavs in 7th, they're 34-25. And the Kings at 8th, they're 33-25. And the Lakers and Warriors are like right on their tails as well. But these 4 teams, 2 of them are going to make the play-in, and 2 of them are going to make the playoffs. But the 2 that make the playoffs are probably going to have to face either the Nuggets or the Clippers in the first round. And the 2 that make the play-in, if they win the play-in, are going to face either the Timberwolves or the Thunder. I asked everybody, I asked all the hosts, and they all universally said, including myself, who hosts Locked On Mavs, I would rather face the Timberwolves and the Thunder than face the Nuggets and the Clippers. Is that a wild choice?
I think it depends on the team. I would say if you're the Mavericks, you may match up a little bit better versus the Timberwolves or the Thunder than you do versus the Nuggets or the Clippers. You just don't have an answer, especially with the Nuggets. Listen, nobody has an answer for Jokic, but you guys have much less of an answer for Jokic than probably anybody down low. But I mean, like if you're the Kings, right, I don't think that there should be a massive fear of the Nuggets, right? You get them out on the run.
Kings got destroyed tonight, but they're 3-1 against the Nuggets this season, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, I don't feel like there should be a massive concern because they're a team that's going to run. They shoot the 3 ball well. I think that they match up really well versus the Nuggets. Sabonis can get out and at least stay in front of Jokic and defend him. He can counteract some on the offensive end, what Jokic does on the offensive end as well. So, like, I think there's more of a matchup problem there. The Clippers, listen, I'll say this. Anybody who has young legs should want to play the Clippers. Like, that's just how I feel. Like, they got to
first round, though.
First round, though. Second round, though. Third round, though. It's been a long season. And these guys have played. Listen, Kawhi Leonard has played more minutes this season than he's played probably the last 3 seasons. Right. If we're being honest about this, right? Like, when does the playoff effect take effect on some of these guys who haven't played a ton of minutes during the regular season? 2 major players, tonight. Right? It could have started tonight in that fourth quarter versus LeBron, who's 39. But it's not a slight on the Clippers. My questions still stand that I've had on the Clippers the entire time. Like, I feel like you're trying to play the Timberwolves or the Thunder because you feel like maybe there's more of a youth aspect to the playoffs there, where maybe they're just a little bit more experienced and you can get over on them. But they're not 2 teams to sleep on either. Like, they're 2 teams that can dominate on both ends. You got a monster in Anthony Edwards on one of those teams, and you have another monster in Shea on the other one. And Shea might have one of the best supporting casts in basketball right now when you look at the team that he's putting out there.
I think Celtics probably still have the best supporting cast, but it's insane to watch. It's insane to look at this choice, basically, because if you're you hit the last couple of weeks of the season, and a lot of things can change. There's a lot of games left, but I was just looking at this as we saw these teams win and lose tonight, where you go, man, you could try an angle for, all right, if we can get through the play-in, then we play maybe an easier matchup with the Timberwolves and the Thunder. Or you just go for it and you're like, all right, let's just get the guaranteed playoff. Let's get the guaranteed, two home games. Let's get the revenue. Let's get the gate tickets, for this. But you play the Nuggets or Clippers. Like, it's an insane choice. And so let's go. Would you rather? If you're the Suns, would you rather make the play in and risk it, or would you rather just go ahead and face the Nuggets or the Clippers?
Give me the Nuggets or the Clippers.
To just make it straight up.
Just make it straight up, because the play-in tournament doesn't look fun either. Like, I mean, at least with the Nuggets and the Clippers, I get 4 games. The play-in tournament is maybe you feel better about playing the Lakers, but it's Lakers Warriors. Like, those are 2 teams that I don't want to see either. Like,
as of right now, 2 of Luka, LeBron, Curry, and Sabonis and Fox will be out and not even make the playoffs. That's where we're at right now in the West.
Yeah.
The Mavs right now are 7th in the West. They would be 5th in the East right
That's
now.
Crazy, actually. Like, when you think, and it's so funny, right? Because I see like 9th and 10th with 32 wins, and I'm just like, wait a minute, we're 9th and we have 26. Like, hold on now. But it's one of those situations where, yeah, you're gonna lose some heavy hitters probably in this. Or, I mean, let me ask you this: is this the year where finally the playoffs just play out as they stand, where basically everybody just kind of has to play another game? Lakers or Kings and Mavericks have to play another game. Because the one thing that I will say is the Kings and the Mavericks are the 2 teams that, if I have to play one of the teams in the play-in, looking at the Lakers and the Warriors, they're the teams that I would say could give the best effort versus both of those teams. Unless Anthony Davis goes ballistic, then you're in trouble in Dallas.
If he just starts shooting. Well, they got Lively and Gafford now, so it's not like Lively and Gafford, and you've got the 5-man that can shoot with Maxey, so you've got that look. Like, you've got multiple looks now for the Mavericks, so they're not gonna get destroyed so much by the bigs anymore. We were talking about on Locked On Mavs. Remember 3 years ago when the Mavs played the Clippers and Boban got multiple starts against the Clippers? Like, this is a very different Mavs team than the ones that they've had. But yeah, it's a wild choice. Let us know in the comment section. What would you rather do? Would you rather make the play-in and then maybe have an easier matchup in the first round if you make it through? Or would you rather just go for it, make the playoffs, and have to face the Nuggets or the Clippers? It's an impossible choice, but over the next couple of weeks, we'll see where these teams line up. Coming up, Wemby and Chet face off today. If you're listening to this on Friday, who's closer to Rookie of the Year? And then the Chicago Bulls got 74 rebounds tonight. How many times has that been done since 1990? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Grammarly. Grammarly has saved me so much time and so much embarrassment for so many typos that I've had in my career, in my life. It helps me. But now Grammarly isn't just about typos, isn't just about correcting spelling and things like that. It helps you craft better stories. It helps you craft better work and makes you better. 93% of professionals using Grammarly Premium report that it helps them get more work done. It's not just to help you to fix mistakes as you go. It's to help you get started, help you get inspired. 96% of Grammarly users report that Grammarly helps them craft more impactful writing. Its AI tool will help you to craft exactly what you want. You remember when you used to have the Microsoft Word document and you'd use Clippy and Clippy would pop up and be like, looks like you're writing a resume. Looks like you're writing this. They got it right this time with Grammarly because it's got the actual AI. They can actually read what you're writing and make it work for you. It's a secure AI writing partner that helps you and your team make their point and move faster. Make bigger impact at work with Grammarly. Sign up and download for free at Grammarly.com/podcast. Again, that's GRAMMARLY.com/podcast. Easier said, done. All right, Pat. It's time. Every single week, we play Count It Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. We're going to talk about Chet. We're going to talk about the Bulls and their rebounds.
Oh, no.
And we're going to talk about
Big Chicken, baby. Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
the Thunder face off against the Spurs on Friday. That means Wemby versus Chet. Right now, how close should the Rookie of the Year vote be? And I'll pose it this way: Wemby gets between like 0 to 100% of the vote. How much of the percent of a vote is Wemby getting right now?
Count it up.
Wemby's probably getting 85% of the vote because Wemby is the best storyline.
They're closer statistically than I thought that they would be, because you've seen these Wemby 5x5 games and you've seen the insanity of like some of the stuff that he's done, and yet he's averaging only 3 more points than Chet, 2 more rebounds than Chet. They're like steal and block numbers are surprisingly close. I was surprised how close that they were, just considering that Chet's at just about 1 steal and Wemby's at about 1 steal, even though it's more. Chet's at 2.7 blocks and Wemby's at 3.3 blocks. It's like they're really close across the board. Chet is shooting better. You'd expect that from a guy that's getting easier shots than what Wemby is getting right now. But yeah,
shooting better from 3 though.
How much do you, for Rookie of the Year though, how much do you do like team success? How much do you put team success into it? Because I think we've seen this in the past where like the Scotty Barnes versus the Paolo Banchero, would you put team success in it at all? I
think team success should always be in it. I think the success of your team should be something that helps you to win Rookie of the Year, how much you impact the team. And right now, Chet is impacting the team tremendously. 17 points a game on a team that's going out there and actually contributing to wins. And here's the biggest thing, the biggest question that I asked when me and Hayes talked about this is, if you take Wemby off of this team, how many more games did they lose? 1, 2, 3?
What are they at? The Spurs,
they've got 11 wins.
They're 11-48.
Have you seen this team
play? Have you seen this team play?
They're dog water. I'm not saying that they're not, right? I'm not saying that there's something better out there without Wemby, but there doesn't seem to be this great source of victory with Wemby. Now, I think that also goes to Greg Popovich, how much he's utilizing him. For some reason, there's this mystery ankle issue that we're so concerned about with Victor Wembanyama, even though at no point in his careers he had serious ankle issues.
But only the weird thing in warmups in Dallas.
The only time, the weird thing in warmups in Dallas is the only time. But outside of that, we stepped on the ball boy, right? But outside of that, right? I think the conversation on team success needs to be louder. Listen, Victor Wembanyama has lived up to every single bit of what he was advertised as. He has. And maybe for some that equals Rookie of the Year, but that hasn't impacted winning. And I always wonder, right? Like I think about it like one of those MVP awards. And the problem with MVP that I always have is storylines matter more than the best player.
Yeah. It's going to be the same for Rookie of the Year, too. Wemby's going to win it, I think. But I think 100%. Chet should be way closer. I think it should be like, Wemby should get like, I don't know, 51%. I mean, it should be that close, because I think that you look at how, the Thunder were a below 500 team last season, and now they're one of the 2 best teams in the West. record-wise. And it's not all because of Chet, but Chet has brought a ton to that team, and they're winning, and he's playing well, and his stats are very similar to Victor Wembanyama's, and the impact has been insane. It's wild to watch these two.
The funny thing about Chet's game, and I was not somebody that thought Chet's game could translate to the NBA, but if Chet was allowed to have the ball in his hands as much as Wemby, and he's not going to because of Shea and the pieces that they have there, you wouldn't want him to. With Giddey on there as well. But if Chet was allowed to have the ball in his hands as much as Wemby, Chet could do everything Wemby's doing.
He's almost doing it now.
Well, I mean, he's not bringing the ball up, right? Like Wemby's doing stuff where he's ball handling and doing all of that on almost every drive down the court whenever he gets the ball in his hands. We're seeing
who do you think gets more? Who do you think gets more touches per game?
More touches per game? I would say probably. I know Chet takes more shots per game. Well, maybe not. No, Chet probably doesn't actually. No, Chet probably takes more shots per game.
Just talked himself into both. He just talked himself into one and talked himself into the other.
Chet probably takes more shots per game because I think Wemby's more efficient from the field goal from the field as a whole.
He's not. Chet more efficient from the field. Chet gets 56.5 touches a game, and Wemby gets 55.5 touches a game.
Oh, okay.
It's wild how close it is. It's wild how close it is. Like literally one more touch a game, and Chet's playing like 2 more minutes a game than Wemby. If you were worried about minutes. But yeah, those two play, so that should be a fun matchup, even though the Thunder will walk them all the way to the Riverwalk.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls.
That creek.
The Chicago Bulls got 74 rebounds against the Cavs in a 2 OT win tonight. My question is, how many times has 74 rebounds been done in a game since 1990? That's right. We're going back 34 years. 74 rebounds in a game. It has not been done this season. I'll tell you that.
No, the Bulls just set the record. I'll say
I think this close this season was like 69.
Yeah, it's 67. I'll say once.
It has been done 6 times.
Okay, that's more than I thought.
But only once since 1995. The Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks did it in 2015. They got 81 rebounds, which is like that's wild.
That's insane.
The Mavericks in 95 got 76. The Knicks in 92 got 75. The Spurs in 92 got 75. The New Jersey Nets in 1990 got 74. The Portland Trailblazers in 1990 got 74. So it's only been done twice since 1995. I probably should have just left it at that, but that is an insane amount of rebounds, and it took them to 2 overtimes.
Yep. Yeah. The Bulls are the Bulls. I mean, listen, you could look at that stat and feel excited about it, but I do not. I just, ugh.
All right, I should start doing this because I always end up with more counted ups than we have time for.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a last 2-minute report. I've got a LeBron James. I've got an Atlanta Hawks are mid, and I've got the Pistons are not the worst team in NBA history. Which one would you rather do?
Ooh, let me do Atlanta Hawks are mid for 500 there, Nick.
And Hawks are mid. According to NBA University, they reported that the Atlanta Hawks are 750 and 750 in their last 1,500 games at some point this week. They have achieved exact perfect mid. My question is, they've made at least a conference finals. The Minnesota Timberwolves are the worst team over the last 1,500 games, and they are the #1 seed. What would you rather be? A mid team where like you've at least had some playoff success, or the Timberwolves who have like been the worst team over the last 1,500 games, but now they've got the success where they're like, all right, we're the #1 seed in the West.
I mean, a mid team because like the Hawks still got the guy that they wanted, right? They got their Anthony Edwards and Trae Young. So like, I'd rather be the mid team that's had playoff success and I still end up with Trae Young. The problem with like their teams was, remember like there was that Kyle Korver, Joe Johnson, Al Horford team, and you were like best in the East,
60 wins
to lose the LeBron. Everyone knew they were going to lose the LeBron. Everybody in the world was like. Even people in Atlanta were like, "We about to lose the LeBron," but it's been a fun season. Yeah, I mean, like it's
Kyle Korver made an All-Star team.
Kyle Korver made an All-Star game. Like I love it that I would rather be the team that is 750 and 750 because the highs have been higher and maybe the lows have been lower, but I've gotten the player I want out of it. Minnesota's lows have just been lows. Like they've had players,
but now they're the #1 seed in the West.
Yeah, but they also had Kevin Garnett for how many years, and they couldn't figure out how to get to the playoffs in the West.
They made one conference final.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, I wouldn't want to be that.
That was
team.
before this like period of time we're looking at.
Yeah, I'm a Bulls fan. We are that team right now. No, I don't want that.
You would rather be mid and have the swings than be like just bad, but have the highs.
100%. Because I'll tell you what, right? Like when we got rid of Jimmy Butler, we didn't win over 20 games for like 6 seasons, or over 25 games for like 6 seasons, and that sucks. That is just horrible. I'm still waiting for the highs to come through, but we got our lows.
I think you're gonna be waiting there, buddy.
Shut up.
Start learning patience, buddy.
Oh, I'm a Chicago fan, dog. All I've got is patience. What are you talking about?
The Hawks are perfect mid. That is so. You know, okay,
that's actually impressive.
How many years do you think? How many years do you think is 1,500 games?
You're gonna make me do math.
I am like
you're gonna make me do math.
No, you can just guess off the top of your head and not do the math. The impression of 1,500 games. How many years does that feel?
How many years does that feel?
I'm trying to make math science right now.
I don't like how you said that. How many years does that feel?
How many years 18? Does that make you feel?
18?
Did you just say 18?
Is that right?
That's exactly 18 years.
I literally just went I literally did 1,500 divided by 80 and now try 2 more. I got that's 16 and something, ain't it? And I add 2 more. My math process on that was god awful. I'm not gonna lie. Kids, do not follow that math.
You don't have to show your work. You just got to get the right answer, right? Just fill in the Scantron bubble. That's all that matters.
I love the surprise in your face. Did you just say 18?
It was exactly 18. I literally have written 1,500 games is 18 years. That's what I have written down. That's
cool. That's cool.
That was probably my worst counted up, but it ended really well.
Oh, all right. It worked out.
There you go, guys. Go check out the Locked On show that covers your team every day. I host Locked On Mavs. Pat hosts Locked On Bulls over with Hayes, so you can go check that out. If you want to hear about a mid team, go listen to Locked On Hawks with Brad Rowland. A mid team, but a great podcast. Go check out that, guys. Thanks for listening to Locked On NBA.
Bye.
Boom. The perfect mid. That was the perfect mid podcast we just did.
Don't do copium. Calm down there, Michael.